Mr. Speaker, members of the House, the 21st Century Green High Performing Schools Facility Act is exactly what the federal government should be doing. We have seen now over the last year, and in some cases a little bit longer and for the foreseeable future, that the tax resources of local school districts, cities and counties have plummeted because of the foreclosure crisis that confronts this nation, because of the financial scandals and the financial collapse in our institutions across this nation. We have seen that credit is not available. The school districts that have sold bonds that have voted for bonds have had a difficulty in getting those bonds to market so that they could engage in the construction. And we see that, in fact, the backlog of repairs to schools, renovations, modernizations of schools and school facilities is starting to lag. We also know that we understand that for the foreseeable future, unemployment will continue to go up in this country at a diminished rate, but we're still at 500,000 people a month are losing their jobs. Auto sales are down because as American families are trying to save more because of the recession, the depression that we're in. They're trying to take care of their needs. So school districts are denied those resources, as are states. And so what the federal government is doing in this time of emergency is trying to say that we will join with you in a partnership based upon the priorities of locally elected school boards, of superintendents of schools, for the repair and restoration of schools that are so necessary in so many areas of this country. If a school board, if a school district doesn't need the money, they need not take it. They need not take it. And that we would hope they wouldn't, because maybe it can go to another school district that might need more. But the fact of the matter is, these repairs and the restorations, and if we use green technology and we use the guidelines of the green standards, not only can restore these schools, they can make them far more efficient, much more efficient in the use of energy, in the use of water, in the use of natural daylight, so that students will have a better learning environment, better opportunities at learning. And yes, the data is pretty darn clear that in those kinds of facilities, students do have a better opportunity at learning the material that is presented to them in that environment than they do in an old and run-down facility that's crumbling, and bathrooms that aren't safe, that can't be used, and windows that aren't replaced. Yes, that may not sound like the local school district that some of you represent, but it sounds like a lot of the local school districts that a lot of us represent, and those school districts are doing all that they can. People are voting for bond issues. People are paying higher taxes. But the fact of the matter is, they don't have sufficient resources to do that. That does not mean then that we should just sentence those kids to a second-class education, to deny them educational opportunities, because when we do that, we then spill over into the national interest of this country. And that is to make sure that every child receives a first-class education, that every child at the end of 12 years has the opportunity to choose a career or schools and a career in whatever combination, but they're prepared to do that. And we know from all of the surveys that it's far more difficult for young children to learn in dilapidated, ill-repaired, badly restored schools when they're trying to get down the basics of their education. So this is a federal partnership. In some cases, local government joins with private sector money to repair and restore schools and to provide new technologies. We want to join part of that. You can say this is a federal taking over the role. It's not taking over any role. This is insignificant compared to what the effort being made by local governments. We're simply saying we think this can be catalytic in terms of getting some of these projects done at this particular time and for the foreseeable future, so that we can ensure that our students have an opportunity to do that. I want to thank the foresight of Mr. Kildee, not only the subcommittee chair, but the author of this legislation, Mr. Chandler, Mr. Loebsack, who worked with local districts, who worked with local schools, who looked at examples of what had been done to make a more efficient use of those local dollars, of federal dollars, of education dollars, to bring that together and try to build high-performing schools. We want to make the same decisions. We want to make the same decisions for these schools that so many in the private sector are making about the renovation, the renewal, the repair of commercial facilities, of facilities throughout our communities where the real estate industry is saving billions of dollars by greening those buildings, where we're saving energy, where we're saving water. In states like California, those two things are very important, and providing a safe environment for children. That's why we should pass this legislation. I'd like now to yield